All right, we are live. Yes, straight from the Fableware YouTube channel. It is happening. Let me know, for those of you watching, let me know if the connection is good, if you can hear me, if the audio is good. Just give me a heads up. Leave a comments in the chat. Now we have real-time chat. We have chat that I can see what's going on. I can look down at the screen and see who's talking. Audio good? Welcome, Tanner. Welcome, Lucas. Welcome, Eduardo. Naturally, Lucas and Eduardo are our producers, the ones that also help make this happen. Just a quick sound check. Is the audio good? Are we good? Video good? Audio good? Give me an okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Eduardo. All right. So this is our first Fableware Live on YouTube. And today we're going to reveal a very special project. But before I get started, we're just going to give it a few more minutes for people to join in. Then the plan for today is to talk about Heart and Harmony. But before that, a little bit more about Fableware and what this means for the studio and what we're working on. Then after that, we also have, in case people weren't aware, we had our cultural participation, our cultural exchange that took place on our socials. And in that cultural exchange, people said, inspired by Venba, a fantastic game, people shared what they thought were cultural references that were relevant and specifically to their roots. So that was incredible. We're going to get to those comments at the end of the live, and then we're going to have room for questions and answers. So that's pretty much it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the channel. If you're here, don't forget to subscribe. In fact, the reason why we switched to YouTube is because here you can subscribe not only to the channel, but you can also subscribe to the videos themselves. So when we have in the future lives happening, you can subscribe to that live. And once it's gone live, then you can see what's happening in real time. So we're super excited about that. I'm super excited to be here and talk about the projects. For those of you who are not familiar with Fableware, I'm actually going to start showing something that pretty much summarizes our work, let's say our work and our identity. So let me know if you can see my screen. All good? Give me a heads up when you can see my screen and our beautiful Fableware slide. Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Fableware is, where we came from, what do we do, and why this live is happening, we are a game development studio, but we have an ace up our sleeve. We are specialized in storytelling. We are specialized in telling stories that have an emotional pull. We are specialized in crafting tales that have thought-provoking aspects to them, and also fairy tales that manage to create that connection with the audience and deliver impact. Impact as in get people to think about the state of the world nowadays, and even what are actions and things that we can do, even if it's a conversation, about how to change our behavior or how to move forward. So for us at Fableware, and actually this is part of our, if you take a look here, this is part of our award-winning story-driven game studio, crafting impactful entertainment. This is part of our mandate. So I'm just going to give you a quick show of the projects we've worked on. You can see right here, obviously, all of the awards and nominations and everything that we've done and that we've won. And you can see here some of the projects. These are not all of the projects, but just a few of the projects that we've worked on as well. So here you go. This is our Fableware reel. There I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've done. These go all the way from film and TV, animation, comics, games, VR, AR. All of this encompasses the Fableware identity. This was a project that we worked on and was based on the Isaac Asimov IP Foundation. Cobra Kai, we worked on 2 Cobra Kai games. This was absolutely fantastic because we got to tell stories in between the seasons. Same thing with Trolls. We created a story that happened between the 2nd and the 3rd Trolls movie. Wonderbox, we worked with Aquarius Game Studio, Epic Games Brazil, on their game, on the marketing side. Soar Legacy is our baby, one of our babies. Not the one we're going to focus on today, but one of our babies, which will we soon have some news about. And Geração Brasil, or Now Generation, is a very near and dear show that was nominated for the Emmys. And finally, Destruction All Stars, that has a very strong connection with lots and lots of different cultures. So that's also something that we put together and that we helped develop, we helped create by, above all, being very sensitive with and sensible to cultural representation. So you have characters that come from all over the world, and we wanted to make sure that, especially the ones that are from Latin America, because of course we have people in our team that are from all over the world, but especially from Latin America, from Brazil. And in that case, we wanted to make sure that the characters in the story were accurately represented. So with that in mind, I think this is pretty much what you need to know about Fableware. And now we're going to move on to something very exciting, which is, ta-da, our grand reveal of our next project. Now, there's a chance you might have heard of Heart and Harmony, either because you met with us at different events that we've been taking part in. Most recently, in May, we were at Web Summit Vancouver, here in the city of Vancouver, where I'm based. But we were also at the XP Indie Games Summit that happens in several different cities throughout Canada, and Vancouver is one of them. So in XP Indie Summit Vancouver, we were there. We were also part of the Signals Creative Tech Expo that is organized by DigiBC and the Vancouver International Film Festival. And that happened just a couple of weeks ago, and we were there showing Heart and Harmony. In fact, I pitched Heart and Harmony to to the audience of the event, and it was a fantastic experience. So since we've had some opportunities to gather feedback and talk with people at events, what we want to do now as part of this phase of Fableware, where we're working on and developing our own original IPs, what we want to do is use this live as the kickoff to have a very strong connection with our audience, to have a very strong connection where we work on content that you get the chance to tell us if you're liking it, if you're not liking it, what you would like to see differently, if it's fun, right? We work on games, we craft modern day fables, which are these thought-provoking games with narrative keepsakes, with personal keepsakes that I'm going to mention about. And we do that precisely so that the audience, you watching right now and in our Discord server, so that you can also be part of that community and not only play a game that you believe is fun, but also influence the development of that game with your opinions, with your thoughts, with your desires, really, because we want to develop games that players want to play, but we also want to develop games that spark conversations between players and stay with them long after the credits roll. So Heart and Harmony is our latest endeavor in that regard. And today I'm going to be playing in real time our playable proof of concept. This is very interesting because it is a playable build and one that shows some of the elements we have in the game, all the way from narrative to art. You can already see the art that we have here. We are especially proud of the creative vision for this project because it has this fairy tale, fable-like-esque element to it. And you might be wondering, what is that element? So let me paint the picture for you. Heart and Harmony is a story about Caramel. Caramel is this dog, not fox, but if you're thinking that it is a fox, there's a reason for that. This dog that is searching for their long, or not long lost friend, but their missing friend. So there is a noir investigation aspect to this game where you are trying to find a friend, and that friend who's missing that search leads you to a spooky village or an eerie village, a mysterious village. So think of it as a mystery adventure with a musical twist. I'm not going to spoil things because that's going to come into play, into actual literal play very soon. But this is what I want to show you as the context that Heart and Harmony represents. Genre-wise, we are talking about an adventure game, a story-driven adventure game, and one where you have to collect information. And with that information that you've collected, you are able to advance your investigation. How exactly? We're going to find out right now. So let me just start playing here, Heart and Harmony, get the game going. And you're going to see very soon what this experience is like. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, leave them in the chat because we love interacting with the community. I want to hear what you're thinking. And I also want to make it very, very, very clear that when we're talking about Heart and Harmony, we are talking about not just Heart and Harmony, but every project that we've worked on at Fableware and that we work on. This is not done by a single person. I am here as obviously as founder, as CEO and creative director of the studio, but I'm speaking on behalf of an amazing team. So we have a fantastic team that is working on Heart and Harmony, all the way from the art to the narrative to marketing as well. A lot of people, when they think of games, they don't think of all of the effort that goes into also promoting that game and establishing this connection with the audience, which is what's happening right now. So we're very proud of that. And I'm very grateful as well for the team that works with us on this. So all the way to Jérôme, who's working on the art, Laura, who's also working on the art, Eduardo, who's doing a ton of work with us on socials, Leticia as well, community manager. Then we have Lucas, our producer, Tanner, who's watching right now, Tanner, our writer as well. And it's fantastic to see all of that coming together. So with that said, let's get this started. I am just going to share right now the game, and you tell me if you can hear our music. And speaking of music, this game is obviously, it has a very strong audio aspect to it, musical aspect to it. And this was done by two musicians. We have our audio lead, Adrian Talons, fantastic. And you're going to notice in the build, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a spoiler, but you're going to notice that we have two different mechanics that we are experimenting with and mechanics that we are precisely testing out to see what lands better, what is more exciting, what is more fun, but also what is very accessible. We, as a story-driven studio, have no interest in creating games that feel convoluted or overwhelming. It's really, really, really about finding that amazing melding spot between the mechanics and the narrative. When the two come together, this is where you get that perfect representation. You get that perfect feeling of, wow, this is mechanics as a metaphor. This is when whatever I'm doing in the game actually reflects this story that is being told. So let's get this party started. This is the main menu for Heart and Harmony. And if you're interested in playtesting the game, join our Discord. I'm going to give you more information at the end of the live. But basically, you join our Discord, you become a Fable Weaver, and you have access to the builds that we are releasing out as well. In our Discord server, we have channels for people to provide feedback on their experience. We have channels so that the audience can talk with each other, but also with us, the developers. So we want to make sure that every step of the way, you can clearly see what we're building, and you have the opportunity to share your opinions. So this is why you have the, right here highlighted at the bottom, you have the icon for the Discord server, and then you also have this little form, because we have an actual form that once you're done playing the build, you can go ahead and fill out to give us that actual objective data that we can work with to make the game better. So it's a mix of qualitative opinions in the sense of, hey, I like this, I didn't like this. And then we also have the quantitative aspect, as in identifying how many people enjoyed the first mechanic versus the second, and so on. So, new game. This is where it begins. We have a brief tutorial. In this case, I'm playing here with the gamepad, as you can see, but you can also play the game on the keyboard as well. We recommend it with the gamepad, but it's also available if you want to use the keyboard. All right, what could this be? One fateful night, the moon watched the scruffy dog and an enigmatic bonobo meet for the last time. The winds of change, heavy with what was to come. I'm sorry, I have to read more slowly. Their eyes locked, words cut, the air between them heavy with unspoken truth. Enough, Caramel! It's interesting because we don't have, this is also an interesting fact, a comment here. For the game, our vision is not to have voice acting per se, as in like actual spoken words. We're going for a little bit more of an animalese gibberish approach. But again, leave your comments, leave your thoughts, join the Discord server, and be a part of this journey with us so that you can let us know what you think would land better. In this case, because I'm playing, I'm going to read for all of the characters. So, enough, Caramel. That's Simi, the Seeker. Simi, the bonobo, turned away, shoulders bowed, his gaze clouded with something heavier than words. I told you already, I'm leaving, on my own. You've known each other for as long as you can tell, inseparable companions, bound by countless days of laughter and adventure. Or so you thought. His garb billowed around him as he awaited your next words. Now, here's the interesting part. Obviously, as a story-driven game, we have lots of different branching opportunities. So here, I'm curious to hear what options we should pick. What do you think I should go for? There is obviously a little bit of a lag, of a latency. So I'm just gonna give it a few seconds to see what you want, and then if not, I can choose. So we have a few options, and what are these options? These options are reason, wait, confront. So basically what we want to do in the game is, with each of the different options, we want players to not only form the caramel that they like or that they believe represents them, but they also want, we also want players to just get a sense of what that option represents and then later read the actual lines, right? So lots of games, like for example, RPGs, they show exactly what you're going to say. In this case, it's more about, what's the stance I'm going to adopt? What's my approach? And then once I find that approach and I like that, then I can choose. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to confront Simi because he told me enough, Caramel. So this is it. And notice how this is it is Caramel speaking. Before I mentioned that Caramel looked like a fox, and that's not by chance. Caramel is actually inspired by two very iconic dog breeds. One from Brazil, the Vira-Lata Caramelo, which is the typical Brazilian stray dog. And we also have in Canada the Nova Scotia Duck-Tolling Retriever. So the Nova Scotian Duck-Tolling Retriever, fun fact, fun trivia, actually resembles a fox, like for real. Pink nose, white markings, the red coat. They resemble foxes because the duck tollers were traditionally used to hunt ducks. So the ducks would think that a fox would be invading their nests, and then they would fly away. The hunter would shoot the duck, and then the duck toller, the retriever toller, meaning as in the one who retrieves, who brings something back, then he would bring the duck to the hunter. So, ta-da! That is why Caramel also looks like a fox. So this is it? We've known each other for how long? Were you really going to leave without a word in the middle of the night? Yes, it would have been easier that way. Damn. Heavy. So, you dare or coward? Coward. You coward? Maybe I am one. But I won't let that stop me from going after what I want. Simi's words weighed heavy in the rolling air. I see. You're confusing freedom with lonely solitude. Simi unbuckled a strange artifact on his back. You recognize the warm wood and sparkling strings. The strange artifact belonging to a long-lost people, the old ones. Huh. You remember the day you found it together, the day things began to change. Now, you must be wondering, what is this artifact? That artifact, look at that. Simi handed you the artifact. Anyone wants to guess? There's a huge spoiler on screen, by the way. So let Simi place it in your paws, push the artifact away. I am curious about that artifact, and things changed the day we found it. We as in Caramel and Simi. So I'm going to let Simi place the artifact in my paws. Simi placed the artifact in your paws. Its strange surface was oddly warm to the touch and reflected your forlorn visage. Song was always a light in my darkest moments. Goodbye. Heavy. And the artifact is precisely the acoustic guitar that Caramel has on its back. Obviously, as I mentioned before, this is a proof of concept, so that's why Caramel starts with the guitar on his back. But actually, the idea in the future, as we progress with development, we're going to add animations, we're going to add particle effects, things will appear on screen, and we will slowly evolve that. So right now, we've got our very bare bones structure in terms of dialogue, and resembling even some elements of like visual novels. In time, that's going to evolve. But the artifact is, yes, an acoustic guitar. And you must be wondering, who are the old ones? Well, big spoiler, but in case you haven't figured it out, it's us, humans. This takes place in a time when, maybe humans aren't around. Maybe humans have left objects behind. The old ones have left relics and artifacts. And you now are in possession of one of them. Simi turned and left with the wind at his back, lost within a storm of leaves. Emotions within you overflowed as your vision blurred and faded to black. Day 1. Why is showing the day relevant? I'll tell you in just a second. Caramel jolts upright, awakening from his nightmare, Simi's words echoing in his ears. So, as you can tell, this was a dream, or better yet, a nightmare that Caramel was having. A nightmare that, as we can see, Caramel is holding the guitar on his back, so a nightmare that has some connection to truth. Now, why did I mention the day 1 aspect? That's precisely because in day 1, that means that the game takes place across different days. You are looking for Simi, as I mentioned before. Simi is missing, and you have a set number of days to find him. It had been weeks since Simi left, Caramel behind. But no amount of time or distance could diminish the pain in his heart. Think of Simi, look for the artifact. Look for the artifact. The artifact! Where did I put it? So also notice, I just passed it, I'm going to show it when it shows up again. But notice how we have also different types of speech bubbles, right? So the light blue, that's the narrator speaking. Then, of course, when we have speech bubbles for each of the characters, you see the little arrow, the tail of that speech bubble pointing to one of the characters. But in that case, green is not only Caramel's color, but it's also that was a thought bubble. So Caramel looks over at his belongings, traveling clothes, a satchel, and the peculiar instrument Simi gifted him. An artifact of the old ones, a lost civilization that once ruled the earth. You remember when you found it together within strange stone ruins. You also remember when Simi would pick at its strings, the melodic rhythm stirring emotions within you never thought there. So what we also work as a governing theme in Heart and Harmony, and that's in the title, we want Caramel to be this heart and bring this harmony to a community. Now, of course, that can be done in many different ways, and depending on what the player chooses, maybe you don't even bring that much harmony. Maybe it's something that that based on your decisions could cause some harm or could stir things up. But you'll notice, and you'll see that happening, that in order to uncover leads and clues as to where Simi is, you actually need other animals to be on your side. So let's go for memory. A single memory can divert the pain, like a small stone in a raging river. You grab the instrument by the neck, nestling it against your chest as you prepare to play. All right, this is where we get to a very interesting part. Let's play a tune or construct a ballad. This is really just the beginning to our musical mechanic. Let's do it. Play a tune. Maybe song will clear my mind. Now look at this, how interesting. This is one of the variations for our musical mechanic. You'll notice that in the beginning right now we have two versions, we have a simpler version, one where you get to make choices, and then others where you get to see the consequences. Okay, so I'm gonna go for Between Tavern Ballads, which is more bardcore, Groove Pulse, which is more a little bit more electronic, and then we have the power chords. So I'm gonna go for power chords. So notice how now we have the audio playing, and we also have the different options that affect the next stanzas. And you can also choose, you can have it with vocals, that's Mateus, one of our musicians singing, and you can also do it without. So for example, to a fight, cause hey, you never listen to you. So it's karaoke mode. Here's what I'm gonna do. And notice how I chose me by his side, which means that now the lyrics have changed exactly based on my choices. I'm gonna stand by your side because that's what true friends do. All right, so that was the first version of our musical mechanic. Very straight to the point and focused on pretty much what you choose as the different emotions that are going to affect the lyrics and even the musical genre. Melody quells the worst of the fire, yet I still burn. The wind pulls at Caramel's fur, guiding his eyes to a looming dying tree upon a hill in the distance. Something sparks deep within you. Spirituality. It bows, beckoning me closer. Suddenly, a twig snaps to your left, drawing your attention. Call out. Growl, growl. I'm going to growl. A plump capybara waddles through the thick grass towards you. Whoa! Hackles down, fella. I won't hurt you, eh? That's Cappy, the brewmaster. You must be the old yeller that's pricked my ears, eh, dog boy? The capybara bangs his head, caught up in the primal remnants of your ballad. See? Nice. Means he enjoyed the song. What a beat. I'd howl if I could. So this is interesting because the guitar is a relic, and we're going to see how people react to the fact that you have a relic. I play from time to time. The capybara nods and approaches you. You got a name, dog boy? Yeah. Caramel. The capybara nods and shakes your paw. You've got a firm paw shake, Caramel. I'm Cappy, denizen of Takara. Pleased to meet you. What's Takara? So this is an interesting moment where we have what we call an investigation loop. You have lots of different options that are going to give you more information. Takara, is this a place? Aye, dog boy. Nearby village and my home was the pride of the valley beneath the great tree. Both have seen better days. What went wrong? Some say a curse, others a prophecy or occult rituals. But I can't really say. All I know is that the village has been fading like the falling leaves of the great tree. The tree? Know anything about that big tree? I saw it in the dream. Really? You aren't the first, though. Most people see the tree after a few of my drinks. Cappy chuckles. That is the great tree. Been here since before Takara was founded. What do you do? Say, Cappy, what do you do? I'm a bartender, like my pappy and my pappy's pappy. Been slinging drinks in Takara since I was a pup. What are you doing? Why are you chancing the wilds? Cappy pats a satchel at his side, filled to the brim with colorful herbs and grains. Hard to beat the wild and organic ingredients. Untamed nature comes through in my brews. So now, since you're looking for Simi, let's ask about Simi. Has a bonobo passed through these parts? He'd be traveling light with strange artifacts. Cappy wrinkles his nose. Strange artifacts, huh? Haven't heard of such a fella, but someone in town might know. Who is he to you? So I can choose to avoid. Let's obviously Simi is my friend, but let's avoid. What business is it of yours? Whoa, settle down, fella. Fine. Keep your secrets, dog boy. Cappy pats his satchel one more time. Why don't you stop at my pub in Takara, middle of the village? Can't miss it. You can chat over drinks and maybe learn more about your lost bonobo. Cappy pulls a bright red fruit from his satchel. These wild berries go well with brew and conversation. I'll see you there. I'll meet you there. That's the spirit, dog boy. Cappy turns on his footpads and walks into the rising sun. I'll prepare the kegs. Cappy waddles downhill, disappearing from view. Could this kindly bartender really help Caramel find Simi? Or was this a discordance in the ballad of Caramel's quest? Simi's scent had grown weak days ago. If there was a lead, the nearby village beneath the great tree was the best bet. So now this shows the village map. Caramel treads through Takara, a small village hidden from most maps and memories. Inquisitive eyes peer from broken buildings, greeting Caramel with stares and shut windows. There is no doubt this was once a charming little town, but now hidden angst weighs heavy like the words rumbling from Cappy's bar. So the only location I can choose right now is the village. As you can see, it's selected, and I'm going to go to that place. But the idea is that later you're going to be able to travel throughout town because you're going to be talking with different people with limited time, and you're going to be able to uncover more information through your investigation. So we get to the bar. Let's listen to what's happening at the bar. There is no mistaking Cappy's voice as you draw closer to a derelict two-story pub. An unknown throaty voice tinged with ire clashes with Cappy's. Above, a sign of a floating colored pool hangs from a rusty metal line. The watering hole is inscribed in faded, jagged ink. Within the establishment, Cappy is agitated, swinging his arms in animated debate with an unknown patron. Let's announce ourselves. You pass through the swinging doors to find a massive moose hunched over the bar. Her looming bulk nearby, nearly engulfing the small chair she sits on. On the other side of the bar, Cappy holds his own undaunted. Hey, hello, mammals. What's the matter? Like a bucket of water on a raging inferno, your greeting has no effect on the quarrelsome pair. Where's my drink? Hey now, isn't it often a traveling bard's grace? It isn't often a traveling bard graces Takara. Where is my drink? The moose turns up in her chair and sizes you up. Ah, Caramel, right away. I was just discussing matters with my friend here. Take a seat, please. You take a seat beside the moose. Her massive frame is riddled with bald spots and graying fur. Caramel, what kind of name is that? Now, this is Tuma. We're gonna get to see that Tuma is somewhat grumpy. No wonder her her label as Old Grump. But the thing is, Tuma, and we're gonna notice this through dialogue, represents one of three factions that exist in Takara. Cappy is very friendly, and you might have noticed that Cappy, because of he's a bartender, he helps out the village. Cappy is a harmonist. That basically means animals that believe that all of the animals can get along. This is, as you can tell, in a time long after humans. So these animals, and now you can even see they're anthropomorphic. Something has changed. Nature has mutated. Things have changed because of the environmental collapse. As you investigate, you learn more about what happened to planet Earth and what happened to the animals that lingered on Earth after that. So what's interesting here is you notice that Cappy is from one faction, the Harmonists. Tuma is from another, and you're going to find out why Tuma is a chainer. And then Simi is also part of another faction called the Revivalists. So I'm going to feed more information later, but let's get back to the dialogue. What kind of name is that? So let's explain it logically. Well, you see, Caramel is quite common in my tribe. I don't need a history lesson, pal. Come on, Tuma, don't be a bore. Ha! Watch it, Cappy. My best friend is a bore. You know what I mean. Cappy slides a foaming drink across the bar and into your palm. The bitter smell tickles your snout. Whole town is rotten, Cappy. You know as well as I, there is no nobility in struggling against the inevitable. This is interesting because this line reflects very well the essence of Tuma and of chainers. And the inevitable is destitute squalor, just like that big hunk of wood on the hilltop. So I'm going to question. Depends. Well, actually, I'm going to ask. Something happened? What went wrong? People stopped listening, stopped caring. It was more than that. I'm going to say that Takara is doomed. Doubt this dump will be around much longer. Cappy slaps his paw down on the bar top. Shut your trap, mutt. Takara will never fall. If only your anger could fix things, old boy. Tuma drains her drink and stands to her full height, the crude antlers nearly clipping the rafters. That is enough sentimental nonsense for one afternoon. I say again, Cappy, Takara is doomed. A quick death is better than a slow one. Cappy shakes his head. Takara has strayed from the natural order. Settling strange ruins was bad enough. Now cultists roam the shadows. This is where things start to get very interesting. So apparently there's a cult in Takara, and Tuma says something that is key for the chainers. Takara has strayed from the natural order. What that means is, as a chainer, Tuma believes that how animals should survive and continue to live is follow the food chain, meaning carnivores should eat other animals, and that's it. Cappy doesn't believe that. Cappy believes that there is room for harmony amongst all types of animals, among all of nature, and obviously these are the ideologies that clash against each other. But what's this talk about cultists? The great tree fades because of it. It is our punishment. You would dare fare and better in the wilds. I knew it. You've brought the chainers rubbish. Rubbish? It is life. It is life the way nature intended, where the strong survive and the weak perish. It is our salvation. It is not the way. It is the only way. If you can't see that, you are doomed. If you can't see that, you are doomed. If you want to cast your lot with cowards and heretics, so be it. Tuma storms through the swinging doors, nearly knocking them off their hinges. Cappy is silent for a moment as he regains his composure. Don't mind her. She's lost a lot more than most. So I'm going to ask a few questions about what she just said. Chainers? A primal pack, the lot of them. They adhere to the old ways of predator, prey, and the food chain. They live in the wild, shunning Takara's finer way of life. They tolerate the festivals and keep to themselves outside of it. Usually. So interesting how she mentioned the chainers, and before we talked about the cultists, right? So let's see what Cappy has to say about the cultists. In the shadows? What is that all about? Rumors mostly. Villagers gossip of shadowy figures meeting at night, meddling in obscure rituals and forbidden artifacts. Not sure what to make of it. And then, what's her problem? Is she always so angry? That is a story for another time, when she is not so close. And then let's talk about the guitar. Don't you think this guitar is forbidden? Did you mean artifacts like this? We produce the guitar and show it to Cappy again. Possibly, dog boy. This artifact inspires a wave of emotions. The forbidden inspires only fear. Could Simi have fallen in with this cult? And I'm going to tell you more about this. You mentioned following some leads on Simi. Have you heard of anything? Sorry, dog boy. I was ambushed by Tuma and didn't have the time. Come back tomorrow. I'll check in with some villagers. The hour grows late, and I need to collect myself. Beneath the great tree is a nice place to sleep. It is sacred. None will bother you there. And so, you leave. Very well. I will return tomorrow. Rest easy, dog boy. So now we go back to the village map, and as the sun begins to set, Caramel questions if he will be leaving Takara anytime soon. Spoiler! No. Alien spirits, frayed friendships, and deeper mysteries surround this dying tree. Takara is a hotbed of inspiration. A ballad begins to form. So now we select the giant tree, the one that Cappy mentioned. I mean, Tuma mentioned it as well. This tree, as you can tell, is pivotal, is key to what's going on in Takara. So you go to the tree to take shelter to spend the night. Sit beneath the great tree, or I don't know if it's safe, so I'm gonna survey. This place is sacred and quiet enough to gather my thoughts and hum a tune. So let's grab the guitar. Caramel unpacks the guitar, his fingers itching to play. Now, there's one thing I want to mention that Cappy said. He said that the forbidden inspires fear. And that is interesting because for a lot of the animals, these relics are forbidden. They are something that the old ones we're doing, and nobody knows much about the old ones. They are mythological creatures. Nothing like music to sort through a storm of feelings. So this is interesting. Now we get to the second variation of the musical mechanics. And what's interesting is, based on all of the conversations, this isn't implemented yet in this version of the game, but based on all of the conversations you have, that information gets stored in Caramel's journal. And when you store that information in Caramel's journal, the idea is that you can use the information you've collected to create different types of ballads. So here's how it works. We're going to create the lyrics for the ballad. This will be by drawing inspiration from the conversations and events we've experienced. Shape your ballad by choosing the character, themes, and emotion to inspire its lyrics. When you're done, your choices become the ballad's lyrics. Remember the highlighted lyrics. You need to select them during the performance. So who will be my inspiration? Tough choice. I love how this is a tough choice, because Cappy, as a harmonist, is way more friendly. Tuma was very grumpy and somewhat aggressive. But I've spoken a lot with Cappy, so I'm going to focus on Tuma, because hopefully this will give me the chance to maybe have more conversations with Tuma. So I've selected Tuma. Notice how now we have Tuma's face showing up on that little tag at the top. And because there are different themes that we can talk about, but in this conversation, we only talked pretty much about the early days of Takara, then I'm going to choose that. Now, how am I feeling? You can choose to, how would I say? You can choose to adapt the song you're creating based on the emotion that you want to select. So let's go for something a little bit more, well, actually, Tuma is a chainer, and that's a very raw approach to nature. So I'm going to go for instinctive. So if I choose these three elements, this is the song that is generated. I can, of course, press back and like just go to the different options and try out different lyrics. If I choose empathetic, that's what it generates. But I'm going to go for instinctive. So this place is not at all what it used to be. I know that it has not seen much better. Better is highlighted, better days. I'm sorry that what everyone can see, and I can't help but feel there's just one way. Lead them with one vision, guide their hearts and minds, make the right decisions, leave the past behind. Let's not waste our time anymore. Let's show them what they're all here for, to help them walk and then to run. And in the end, it's best for everyone. So I need to remember three words: better, vision, everyone. And now let's create the melody of the ballad. Speaking with new characters can unlock musical genres and styles that we can combine. So it's genre, style, melody. Style is also seen as intensity for the song. So choose a melody for each stanza. The first two set the genre. The last two define the style. In this case, we're using LB and right B, so left bumper, right bumper, to switch between the stanzas. And the symbols of the genre and the style are what's key to define what we're going to be choosing during the performance. So here's the thing. We have these different genres, right? The symbols, they represent three different genres. It's finger style serenade. Oh, sorry. It's Latin ballad. Then we have the finger style serenade, and then the swing jazz. So if I choose, for example, A, B, that means I've chosen the genre. Now I'm going to go for a style that is more of the fervent style. Let's go for B-A. See? So now we have that playing, and the game has automatically selected for me the second stanza, which means that is the song that is the rhythm that's going to play, the melody that's going to play for the first stanza. Now I'm going to go for swing jazz, so XB, and I'm going to choose steady, which is the leaf, so YX. Okay, now let's go for the third stanza. I'm going to go back. No, actually, I'm going to try the other genre that we have, XY, and then I'm going to go for YA. Okay, so this is if we go up, see, we start with 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. I have to remember. So burning sun, it's time to perform the ballad. See, the ballad has 3 stanzas. I need to remember the lyrics and the genre. Let's do this. I'm ready to start. So the first word was better, and I did. Yeah. So see, I remember the genre that I chose, and it starts playing. Second word was vision, and I did XBYX. Now I'm gonna go for the third. What was it? Everyone, and XYYA. That was it. So I got all three instances correct, and that basically meant that I performed that ballad with the lyrics, with the musical, the choice of the genres, and that is the result of that process. So Takara, these poor creatures, their spirits are as ravaged as my own. Above, amongst the crowd of the great tree, new furrow life blossoms like a moonlight bloom. So, new life? What is this? White petal flowers continue to bloom along a single branch, dancing to the wind and the final healing reverberations of Caramel's ballad. Did I do this? That night, Caramel closed his eyes beneath the great tree, wondering how a simple search turned into this strange haunted stop. He replayed every word said to Simi, cutting words similar to the ones Cappy and Tuma shared. Somewhere in the silence, Caramel wondered where Simi could be and if tomorrow would bring the answers he seeks or more questions. Boom, day two. So day two, obviously, just signals really that we have less time left. It just means that now we're progressing our journey, but we don't know how long we have until we are able to find Simi. The sun rises on the great tree, casting a maze of shadows. A shaft of sunlight lands on Caramel, drawing him from his slumber. Caramel packs quickly, hastened by the hope of finding Simi, or at least a lead. So we're back at the village map. A big day awaits Caramel as he sets out. The strange stares he experienced yesterday are different today, tinged with curiosity. Village bar. We get to the bar, and Caramel enters the watering hole to find Tuma, of all creatures, sitting at the bar. The moose turns and grunts. Woofer. Let's. I'm not going to back down. Destitute. Tuma laughs, her throaty bass shaking the bar. See, I guess this is all what Heart and Harmony is about. It's about having this emotional reading of the characters. Not a bad howler you pulled last night. Brought the wolf pack to life. Haven't heard their howls in years. My howler? My howler? What's a howler? That. I don't know the damn word. Whatever you were doing last night, all of Takara heard it too. I found Cappy after your howler. I apologized. He might be backwards, old fool, but he's still a friend. Amazing. So this is where we see Heart and Harmony fulfill its purpose. You are influencing dialogues and relationships through your music. Based on the song that I crafted in just right now, the second ballad, Tuma decided to apologize to Cappy. He mentioned you were looking for someone, Somo or Sibi? Oh boy. I find this line's funny. Let her continue. I'm going to correct her. Simi. Yeah, that one. If he's gone missing, the chainers probably know what happened. Travel the wilds and ask for Scar. He's a hyena and a nasty piece of work. But after last night, the chainers will be dying to meet you. Interesting. Make sure to mention that Tuma sent you. Let's go for final. A lead! Finally! Tuma rises from her chair. Remember, hope is fool's gold. Even if Tuma helps you, Tuma is not hopeful. Tuma is still a grumpy old grump. Tuma leaves the bar much calmer than he did the day before. Caramel leaves moments later. Sunshine, hope, and a colder feeling spread through his body. Fear. If the chainers were involved Simi could be in mortal danger. Of course, they're all gonna tear that bonobo apart. Would Caramel find the answers he seeks, or end up as a food for bloodthirsty beasts? Caramel couldn't be sure for only one last thing. One thing was clear. This was only the first verse in a much longer song. Ta-da! Thank you for playing. So as you can see, this is the end of the build for our playable proof of concept, this version. When we took it to events, this exact screen, when it came up, you would fill out a form that people would fill out on the spot using the gamepad. Like you would say, hey, I like this. I like the art. This is what I think of the art. This is what I think of the narrative. This is what I think of the songs. This is what I think of the first and the second musical mechanics. In this case, this is the build that we're going to send to playtesters so that you can play at home. And because when you play at home, it's much better for you to focus on playing with the just finishing the build and then filling out the form. So what I'm going to do now is stop sharing. And actually, we're done with the build, but we can go back to our Heart and Harmony. So this was the experience of Heart and Harmony. What we want to do now for the future is pretty much evolve this, and we want to do this with player feedback. We want to do this with your opinions, with your thoughts. We want to make sure that this experience is very much aligned with its goal. I don't want to share opinions because I don't want to bias anyone, but the idea pretty much is, how did you feel about the first mechanic, about the second mechanic? We are pretty much doing open development. What does that mean? It means that with the community, we are gathering this feedback, and in order to develop better mechanics or to finesse them, we need your opinions. So the Discord server is the best place to do that. We are going to have many more lives here on the YouTube channel, but the Discord server is the best place to be to stay up to date with everything that we're doing and to also talk with other playtesters. So this is Heart and Harmony. We're very excited. We're very excited to have shown it here on the live. We are very excited to get your feedback, to hear your thoughts. And now what I'm going to do is, since we're very close to wrapping up our live, I'm going to move to the next section of it, which is totally tied with the theme of culture that is totally relevant to this live and to Fableware. So, Venba, how is this connected to Venba? As you saw, Heart and Harmony is a very special game to us because, like every Fableware game, we have personal keepsakes. And when we played when I just played right now, the build, the idea is that you can later share those ballads that you created with other players. They're meant to be conversation starters. And then once you talk about those ballads, you get to see what you did differently in the game. But what you do in the ballads is a reflection, of course, of your culture, of how you read the emotions and the personalities of different characters, and how you understand their cultures as well. Like Tuma is a chainer, Cappy is a harmonist, and the cultists that were mentioned are very likely the revivalists, who are the animals that want to bring back humans. So this is why you have different ideologies. And we want to make sure that this cultural aspect is very much reflected in Heart and Harmony. And a game that does that very, very well is Venba. Venba is in case you haven't played it, you have to play Venba. It is a fantastic game. It's a fantastic game, also very story driven. But in it, instead of playing music, you're actually cooking. You're cooking a series of Indian recipes, Indian dishes. And you do that because it is the story of an Indian family that is an immigrant that immigrated to Canada in the 1980s. So you get to see the perspective from different characters, but you're essentially playing as this boy who is the son of the two parents. And I'm not going to go into details because it is a beautiful, heartwarming, emotional story. And it is one that's very cool because it shows how culture is so connected, not only to the characters, but to the mechanics as well. So because of that, we had online a fun draw, a fun activity where we asked people what from their cultures was especially relevant. And if they answered, they would be part of a draw to win a copy of Venba. Woo! So I'm going to read some of the highlights that we got for these answers. And then we also selected the winner. And I'm going to announce the winner. Da-na-na. So we had a few comments, and one of them, in fact, was mine. I kicked off the activity by sharing my perspective. So in case you don't know, I, Arthur, am from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And there are so many things from Brazilian cuisine that I love. But, I mean, obviously, there's the pão de queijo, which is the cheese bread. There's the pastel, which is like the deep fried dough. Then there's like cheese and it's so good, like cheese and oregano. But For me, culturally, and this is something that I like sharing here in Canada, in Vancouver, I always like sharing cachaça de jambu with friends. And cachaça, in case you don't know, is a typical Brazilian liquor, a hard liquor, because it's around like 40 to 50% alcohol, but it's made from the sugar cane. So it's a different process than rum. Rum is made from the byproduct of the sugar cane, and cachaça is made from the sugarcane juice. What's super interesting is cachaça is a strong liquor, yes, but when it's made with jambu, which is a leaf, you get a very interesting tingling sense on your tongue once you've had the cachaça. So it is a fantastic experience, and it's so unique, it's so Brazilian, and that's what I shared on our socials when we kicked off the activity. But we also got some very interesting comments from other people too. We got, for example, from Eduardo. Eduardo is from Belo Horizonte, which is another city in the state of Minas Gerais in Brazil. And he said, did you know that it's considered the capital of pubs, BH, Belo Horizonte? We call them botecos, that's the name, and you can find one on every corner. I have great memories of several of those. Some might say that a good place to start a friendship is in a boteco. And that's very true, because that's where Cappy and Caramel, they developed their conversations, and that's where Tuma apologized to Cappy. So it's to Caramel, sorry. And that's, well, apologized to Cappy and then reconnected with Caramel. So that's fantastic. We had Lucas, who is also from Belo Horizonte, and Lucas said that it's a city with a beautiful horizon and an even more beautiful soul. It's where the smell of pão de queijo fills the air. Pão de queijo is so good. And friends meet for a chopp, which is kind of like the draft beer, after work. And life is lived with a simple why. Why is a very BH expression, very Minas Gerais expression. My heart is forever in the hills of Minas Gerais. Beautiful. Adrian said that he grew up loving homemade Filipino cuisine. And on hot days, his family would use a hand-operated ice shaver machine to make a delicious dessert called halo halo. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Because if it were Halo, I think that's more of a Destiny's Child type thing. I forget. What's it? It's not Mariah Carey. Yes, Mariah Carey. So I don't think it's Halo. It's probably Halo Halo. But that's super interesting. A hand-operated ice shaver. Sounds so cool. Now I want to check that out. And Luis Fernando said, for me, the simple things come to mind from Brazil, like my aunt's special sweet fruit salad with grenadine, or my dad's stroganoff mixed with straw potato sticks for extra crunch. One day I'll recreate it. Amazing. So we've got, these are just some of the highlights of how people reflect with, connect in terms of memories nostalgically with culture. And our winner was Lucas. Congratulations, Lucas. You get a copy of Venba to play at home. And please play and let us know what you think of it, because I love Venba. And this is also something I want to talk about, how at the Fableware Discord server, it's not just about specifically talking about Fableware games, but also connecting with other people, connecting with a like-minded community of lovers of storytelling that want to talk about games that you've played. In fact, we have, as part of the lives that we host at Fableware, we also have Let's Plays with other narrative-driven games. So if you're a developer, if you have a game that you would like to see featured, or even if you would like to talk more about your game, we've also hosted interviews with different creators and developers. It's all really about forming a community that is focused on storytelling, but storytelling with impact, storytelling that is thought-provoking. That is what we do as a studio, and that is the community that we are building as well. Okay, so we're very close to the end of our live. I guess the last thing really is just if anyone has any comments, if anyone has any thoughts, we're here and we're very, very, very excited to have shared Heart and Harmony with you. We want to do a lot more of this. Again, subscribe to our channel. Not only subscribe, but also join the Discord server. You can also follow us on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on X. We are constantly sharing news about either work that we've done in the past, and now, more excitingly, we're sharing the work that we're doing right now. Heart and Harmony is just one of the projects that we're working on here at Fableware. There are a lot more to come, but that is a very, very special project that is very near and dear to our hearts. And so special that I want to show something here. I'm even using my phone to activate something that you should see right here behind me. Boom. Yay! Now we've got Caramel as our supporter, as our mascot, as our member of Fableware that represented this live so well. So thank you so much. Yes, Tanner, I'm also very excited to hear everyone's feedback. We are super, super, super excited to have more people join our Discord. We're super excited to get the community together. We're very excited to build this future with you. We're very excited to move on to the next steps. Again, remember, we are not only focusing on the stories we want to tell, we are building stories with you. And a very good example of this is if you go to the Fableware website, you can find our community or player survey. If you fill out that survey, not only you share with us what you think is the stories you want to play, but then we get that answer and we're able to better tailor. And we've done this already. We've already received over 70 responses. And with those 70 responses, we've been able to identify what people are looking for in indie games, what people are looking for in emotional storytelling, what kind of mechanics, even the length of games that people play and what type of length is better. Because it's very easy, right, to get into an RPG that's going to take you hundreds of hours. But at Fableware, we want to work on games that you can finish typically between 5 to 10 hours. And you can keep playing if you want to in case you want to unlock more endings. But you can at least get to one ending and have a conversation with someone else, another player, or even someone you might want to recommend the game. So fill out our survey as well, because then by filling it out, you become a Fable Weaver. And by becoming a Fable Weaver, you get to be part of different game giveaways that we have. You get to talk with us, with the devs as well. You can obviously join a Discord server, and you're going to be interacting with the community. But we have special perks and bonuses for Fable Weavers because we want these to be the people who are very closely with us, influencing and contributing to the development of our games. So aside from that, subscribe to the channel here because this is just the beginning of the Fableware YouTube channel, where we will have interviews with other developers and creators. We will have gameplays of our games and other games as well. And we will also have different presentations of the different projects that we are putting together and creating. And of course, in the future, I think it's going to be very exciting. And this is, I wouldn't say wishful thinking because I think it's realistically possible, but we're trying to find a way to also host, who knows, in-person events in different places. Our team is distributed across Brazil and Canada. So it would be very exciting to get together with the Fableware community in Vancouver, where I am at, and also in other cities in Brazil. So we're very excited to have you join our journey and really, really, really looking forward to the feedback that will be shared with the playable proof of concept of Heart and Harmony. If you want to play it, at home, it's very available. You can test it directly on Steam. Let us know and join the Discord server. That's it. So thank you so much. It's been awesome. We want to do a lot more of these, but for now, I'm just going to leave you with the experience of Heart and Harmony, a ballad-driven investigation where every song brings you closer to the truth. That's it.